welcome to How to Coffee. I'm Grace.
And I'm Jesse, and we're baristas here at Upside Down Coffee. Now today we're going to be exploring how to make a pour over, and we're going to be using a Kalita Wave brewing method. In order to get a Kalita Wave, you have to have
Money.
Money. You need money. Grace, why do we do a pour over?
We do a pour over because it's important to make sure each bean gets evenly extracted. And so some other brewers, when you're using a machine, you don't really know how much water is going in, you don't really know the ratio of bean grinds to water. So a pour over allows you to look at all those different elements of making coffee and do them to the exact amount.
That's right. You just have more control over your product at the end. But today we're using a Kalita Wave, and you're going to need a couple things in order for you to be able to do a pour over process. The first thing that you're going to need is you're going to need a brew method. Like I said, today ours is the Kalita Wave, and so this is this Japanese product here, and we have a glass carafe with it. That's a Kalita.
That's a Kalita. And you're also going to need a kettle or some type of water heater and a scale.
Yep, we're going to need a scale, and we recommend having a scale that has 0.5 increments a sec. You're also going to need a scale because we recommend that you get a scale that has 0.5 increments to the gram on that, and that allows you to have more precision in your product.
You're also going to need a coffee filter.
And you're going to need a coffee grinder that allows you to grind the coffee that you have.
And you also need coffee to grind.
That's exactly right. And lastly, we recommend having a glass carafe, but you can just use a ceramic mug too if you don't have that at home.
I think we're ready to go.
Great. So we're gonna boil our water to about 202 degrees. We want it to get in that 200 to 205 range, and that allows the coffee not to get scorched, and it also is hot enough so that the right flavor comes out of the coffee.
And if you don't have something to take the temperature of your water at home, you're gonna have it get to just a boiling range, and you're gonna wait maybe a minute to 90 seconds, and it should be around 202 degrees.
That's right. Cool, so we are going to also weigh out 25 grams of coffee, and we're gonna pour in 350 grams of water. So that introduces the idea of a brew ratio.
What's
brew ratio?
What's a brew ratio?
All right, so a brew ratio is pretty much a thing that helps us determine how much water to coffee are we going to use. And so, water to coffee. At Upside Down, we use a 14:1 brew ratio. So that means we use 14 grams of water for every 1 gram of coffee. All right, and so now we are going to pre-wet our filter. We also want to make sure that we have the right grind size. We like our grind to be about the consistency of sea salt. And this is going to be the hardest part of the pour over process, is finding the exact right grind, especially if you're doing it from home. A burr grinder helps the grounds to be as consistent and even throughout, which is really important in pour over coffee.
Exactly.
So now we're going to make sure that there's no water left in our Kalita or in the glass carafe, and so we're going to dump this out in the sink.
Perfect.
And we are going to pour the coffee into our Kalita Wave, into the filter, and we're going to flatten it out. And the reason we flatten it out is so that it has a more even texture and consistency in the cup itself at the end. All right, so we have what's called the bloom here. And the bloom is a process that allows the carbon dioxide to be able to exit from the beans. And during the roasting process, coffee has a lot of carbon dioxide that's added into the bean, and the bloom allows those aromas to exit. And so this allows us to have a much more flavorful cup at the end of the day. And so if you have a drip
Like the gal's camera.
If you have a drip coffee, you're not able to achieve this bloom because they just put in all the water at once, and there's no bloom of the coffee that allows these gases to exit. And so we're gonna wait about 45 seconds. It depends on the coffee. We've found that 45 seconds works best for this coffee in particular. That's kind of our standard go-to. And now we're gonna pour in 3 increments of 100 grams each. Notice how I'm pouring in circles as well. That's really important. And this allows us to have an even consistency. You don't want to just pour the coffee in all at once, because if you do that, then the coffee is going to create various channels, to use an espresso term, and it's going to just let the coffee flow right through and not interact, not agitate with the rest of the coffee.
Agitate, that's a great word.
Agitate's the word.
Agitate all the beans. You don't want them to be agitated. You want them to be...
integrated.
Integrated?
Okay, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
All right, so now we're pouring to 250 grams of water, and we want to make sure that the color of the coffee is consistent at this point. If you have one side that is darker, that means that your coffee is not as consistent as it could be. You also want to avoid coffee that's on the edge of the filter.
The edge!
Because if it's on the edge, it means that you're not interacting with the coffee to its greatest ability.
To its greatest potential.
Its greatest potential, because we
are
want
on
to unleash the bean. Right? So now we're ready to pour to 350 grams of water, achieving our perfect 14:1 ratio.
Beautiful. Sweet. Boom.
And it's important while you're pouring that we maintain a flat bed in the coffee, again, so that it's all being extracted evenly.
And while you're waiting for your final pour to drop into the craft, you can also preheat your ceramic mug.
Cool, and we'll let that sit until it's about ready to go. And once the drips have slowed, we want to wait about 3 seconds between each drip, and that helps us know that all the water from the top has now entered into the glass carafe, and we've gotten the most out of our coffee that we can. Now once our coffee is done dripping, we're going to throw this away. We're going to spin in our glass carafe, and this helps us to make sure that the coffee is even, because the first 10 drops are going to be very different than the last 10 drops.
You need to pour them out.
And I have to pour this out. Perfect. And now your cup is ready to go, ready to enjoy, and ready to be loved.
To be loved.
And so that's how you make a pour over with the Kalita Wave. We really appreciate you watching this the whole way through, and we hope that you'll enjoy other tutorial videos coming soon.
Thanks so much for watching, and if you have any questions, you can always DM us on Instagram or access us through the website.
Well, that's been another edition of How to Coffee. We'll catch you next time. I think it'd be fun for us, it's fine. It'd be fun for us to like...
What?
Brew ratio!